Welcome back to Big Luke's Dog Beat, episode 14. I got a special Father's Day program, UGA football, why we are the best program in the nation. There's no better Father's Day gift than doing this podcast with my three sons, all double dogs at UGA, breaking down the 2026 UGA football team. I got little Luke with me. You remember him from an earlier podcast we did at G-Day.
Good
I've
to be
got
back.
Jackson, who's got some stats ready for us, some in-depth stats to break down, and also is the one got me started in the podcast game. And Hal's in Athens, breaking news all the time around the Bulldog program. Some good, some bad, but he breaks the news. All three qualify as Big Luke, UJ insiders, and just love the dogs. But first, let me give you some breaking news. The Diamond Dogs dominated the Texas Longhorns 7-1 in the College World Series opener in Omaha, Nebraska last night. Everybody give me a horns down.
Horns down.
Joey Volko tossed a complete game four-hitter with a career-high 15 strikeouts, outdueling the Texas top arm Dylan Volantis. Everybody feels like Volantis will be the number one draft pick in the Major League upcoming draft, but we sure handled him last night. The stars for UGA at the plate were Rylan Lugo, and Kenny Ishikaya with the 5 RBIs. Lugo was key in getting UGA started in the bottom of the first with a blast to left field. The star of the game was Joey Volko, who put on a master class of pitching. Our next game is 7 p.m. Monday night against Oklahoma. And guys, are y'all enjoying the baseball as much as I am?
It's a blast. It's a lot of fun.
It's
Yeah,
been
the bats
great
just
to
gotta stay
watch.
alive. The bats can stay alive. I think they got a good shot in Omaha.
Absolutely.
As a casual college baseball fan, it just comes in for Omaha. I'll say it's been a lot of fun to see the Dogs tearing it up.
That'd be a fun trip one day to go to Omaha if the Dogs keep going back there. With Wes Johnson, they probably will. If you are a Dogs fan, please subscribe. It's free. If you like today's content, hit that like button. And we love all comments, even the haters. We like to hear whatever you got to say. But first, guys, before we get started, I want to recognize my sponsors, White and Choate Law Firm in Cartersville, Georgia. White and Choate is a full-service law firm that provides representation to local and national businesses and individual clients throughout North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. They specialize in helping personal injury victims and individuals seeking compensation for work-related accidents. Go see Harry, Jay, Lottie, who are all damn good dogs for all your legal needs to maximize your opportunity and minimize your risk. Our family has used White and Choate with a lot of success, and we're proud to recommend them on Big Luke's Dog Beat. So, guys, let's get started. Let's talk to these three great Big Luke insiders on a few hot topics. Let's all kick it off with the question I hear the most about UGA football. What do you think about Gunner Stockton? And little Luke, I'll start with you and then go to Jackson and Hal.
Gunner's going to be fine. Gunner's good. He knows how to run the program. He knows how to run the team. He can run that offense. He doesn't have to be great. Think about all the great Alabama teams, the great Georgia teams. You know, the first year with Stetson Bennett, you've heard Todd Monken talk about it. We won with him. The second year we won because of him, but we don't have to have a quarterback next year that does everything for this team, and Gunner's going to be just fine.
Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, Luke may be right that we can get by with Gunner being average. I'd like to see more from him. Personally, you know, I looked at the stats, and I know what I saw last year was at times Georgia looked a little static on offense. And so I looked to see, you know, what does he do different than some of the top QBs? And Gunner's average depth of target, and that's how far he throws it downfield on each attempt, is around 7.2 yards in 2025. You look at some of the top quarterbacks like Mendoza, he was throwing it 9.8 yards on every attempt through the air. And you look at any of the, you know, quarterbacks that go in the draft. They're all around 9. Jackson Dart was in 12 yards per attempt back 2 years ago. And I think that's, partly on Gunner, but I think mostly that's on Bobo and what they allowed him to do. Gunner had a good season if you look at the stats, almost, 27 touchdowns, maybe 5 interceptions. That's very protective QB play. And I'd like to see them unleash him a little more. But I think the biggest problem is not Gunner. It's going to be if the offensive line gets better, because I think that's the reason they had to get the ball out so quick and they couldn't go downfield. So we see the
I think
offensive line improve. That's where we're going to see a big change for Gunner.
And I think you'll be fine on the offensive line. You've got, your left guard and your right tackle that are now sophomores. You've got one true freshman on the offensive line, but everybody else is back with Drew Bobo healthy. And then you've got a new weapon at wide receiver with Isaiah Canyon, stealing him from Georgia Tech.
Yeah. You just hope they actually get better as they get older, that they don't just get older is the only problem. But, I mean,
Sure.
they usually do. And I guess my thoughts on Gunner, Jackson brought the stats to kind of back up his logic. But I think the one thing outside of Gunner that I think is the most important part of him is kind of his heart and the kind of player that he is. Me and Peyton were driving up to Highlands last weekend, and we drove right through the heart of Rabun County, and all through there you see proudly home of Gunner Stockton and Charlie Warner, but Gunner Stockton signs everywhere. And I think his devotion and love for Georgia and the passion that he plays with, and you see him get killed play after play last season, get back up, and he kind of has that grit that's hard to quantify. I think those are the kind of things that kind of help push teams over an edge. I mean, Mendoza in the championship game last year, you brought up his depth of target, but I remember the play that sticks out to me was that run play where he should have got tackled at the 7-8 yard line. And it was just pure determination to want to get through there. And I think that's what Gunner has. That's going to really help us next season.
Yeah, great comments. How do y'all feel about, do you see any big holes in our offense? I know y'all talked about the offensive line in an earlier podcast with Greg Laudermilk, a Georgia insider. We rated the offensive line very high, but what other holes or what holes do you see in our offense you want to make sure that we call out for our viewers?
Well, this may be a hot take, but I mean, I think the weakest spot, the spot that I feel least good about is running back.
Ooh, that is a hot take, Luke.
You don't trust Nate Frazier or just the injuries?
I don't trust Nate Frazier to stay healthy. And I mean, we've seen the last couple of years. I mean, we haven't had the blowaway running back the last 2 or 3 years like we usually do at Georgia. And I feel like having that workhorse that can stay healthy is going to be necessary for Gunner to really succeed. Bobo loves to play action. And you got to run first at Georgia for this offense to work.
To me, I think the biggest question mark is in the receiver room. I mean, we just got a lot of. I mean, it's the name of the game right now in college football is transfers. Who you brought in is Canyon going to be who we want him to be? Is he going to be as good as he was at Tech? Is Sokovie White actually going to be good this year and kind of step up? But I mean, Georgia. I mean, I feel like we're a long way away from Lab McConkey and Brock Bowers, even though it wasn't that long ago, of having probably 1,000-yard guys, a bunch of catches. We're going to get the ball around to probably 8 different receivers this year. And so while it may not seem like we have a good one, I just hope as a whole the room is good.
Yeah, I'd echo what Hal said with the receivers. There's just a lot of unknown there. I don't know that it'll be a problem, but there's just a lot of uncertainty there. But really, the offense is going to go as far as the O-line can take us. It was just such an issue last year. And hopefully Luke's right and things are, on the upward trajectory now. But, we're going to need to see improvement there.
Yeah, I think we've got extremely good depth in the offensive line this year, what we didn't have last year with people who've had snaps. And I think also it wouldn't shock me to see 13 and even 14 personnel with all these tight ends. Now they may have these tight ends split out, but covering up for some of our receivers, but it wouldn't. Our tight end room is amazing. So let's switch to the defensive side of the ball. And Hal, I'm going to start with you. Can the Dogs have that 2021 dominant defense again? And which players are you looking to stand out?
I don't know about 2021. I mean, that's one of the best in history. I don't know if we're to that level. We don't have some of those guys in the front 8, front 7 right there that we had in the past. I mean, Jalen Carter's not walking through those doors on this team, but it's going to be Elijah Griffin kind of really anchoring us there. And like the receiver room, Kirby's going to keep them funneling in all on the defensive line, keep them flowing. But you got to have a stalwart that you can put in there on those high leverage plays, and that's going to be Elijah Griffin. And then you got to have KJ Bolden in the backside kind of helping out and being that leader, that vocal leader. That's who I'm looking to see kind of step up and take over as the leader on the defense.
Jackson?
Yeah, I'll tell you what I'm looking at. If I look back at those best defenses we ever had, there's a common denominator, and that's, that is a real sturdy middle of the park, nasty middle linebacker. You look at Roquan Smith and Kobe Dean. So I want to see, our guys, the new guy, Chris Cole, Raylan. I want to see those guys really step into that role this year. And I want to see us have the classic Georgia linebacker group that just runs the game. That's what I'd like to see again.
Luke?
Yeah, I mean, I think Hal and Jackson hit on it, but yeah, it's Kirby's always going to have this defense ready to go. So you're going to have a top 5 defense. You're going to be able to do it. I think you're going to have to score some points, though, and it's nothing against the defense. I just think that's the nature of college football these days. You got to be able to go out there and run with the Ole Miss and the LSU this year with Kiffin, and you've got to be able to go run with Texas, if they're as good as people say they're going to be. I don't think they will be, but if they are, it doesn't matter how good of a defense you have, you're going to have to be able to go out there and score points. The 9-6 LSU Alabama style football is gone.
Yeah,
I agree. And I think our front 8, and Luke, you said this at G-Day, our front 8, Kirby's going to have ready. We weren't as good on the front 8 last year as we normally are. This year, again, we've got a lot of players going to rotate in. We had a lot of players hurt at the end of the season that's going to come back in and make a big difference. But our front 8's going to be very physical and is going to match up extremely well, especially with the Alabamas. And I think you're going to see a very physical football team in Georgia. My question is, I know we got the 2 great cornerbacks, but I'm a little worried at the safety position. I think Dink will be good at the star, but I'm worried at that second safety division to see if we can really make it work. So that's my comment on the defense. Let's go to the Georgia schedule. Which games are you the most excited for to see this year? And I'm going to go back and start with Jackson. I haven't started with Jackson yet. I'll start with Jackson.
So I looked at the schedule you sent, and I want to say I wasn't scared of any of these teams in isolation. Even Bama. I know we hate playing Bama, but it was really the whole stretch from about Oklahoma through the next month and a half. I think it's Oklahoma through Florida, or maybe the team after them, or Ole Miss. Maybe it's the last one in that stretch of 6 games where it's just every game is a tough one. That's going to be a stretch. If we can get through that with even 2 losses, I think we're going to be sitting pretty to have a good seed in the playoffs. So that's going to be the heart of the season right there.
Yeah, it's going to be a war of attrition. I mean, just like every year in the SEC.
Yeah, and I understand why they did it, but getting rid of Cupcake Weekend is, I'm going to miss it. I liked our little tune-up before Georgia Tech.
Before Tech.
What are the thoughts on the Arkansas complaints from the AD? Have y'all seen those about the schedule, where he's complaining about them coming off a West Coast game to them playing at 11 o'clock local time? Is he just trying to go ahead and get excuses out of the way?
Fair. I mean,
go ahead,
I
Luke.
haven't seen this house. So they're playing before they play us. They're playing on the West Coast.
He said they're essentially losing a whole day of rest compared to us getting to play at noon because they play a late West Coast game. And then they play at 11.
No problem.
Yeah, I think it's a fair call out. I think everybody's going to have something like that this year that you're going to have to. And these are Division I teams that have a ton of money. he ought to be able to prepare for that and have his team ready. But good for us. And what's exciting about that Arkansas game, Hal, is that we get to play it at noon, and then we can all go home and watch that LSU Ole Miss
Ole
game.
Miss.
And I hate to say it, I'll be rooting for LSU to bang up Ole Miss a little bit because I think Ole Miss will be our toughest game in the schedule. I'm not worried about Bama. I'm just not. I know the Bama people will not like hearing that, but I don't think with Kalen DeBoer, they have the physicality to play with a Georgia or an Oklahoma or any of these teams. Probably Oklahoma coming into Sanford will be a bigger game for me to keep a track of. So
I'm worried. I think I'm most worried about Vanderbilt, sandwiched in between Bama and Oklahoma. Those are the kind of Oklahoma's the first big one. It's obviously going to be on the dartboard. They'll be ready. Bama's Bama. But I can already feel like I can picture it now. Jared Curtis coming to Georgia, the team he decided not to go to. He goes to Vanderbilt and he has his breakout game. And it just seems like a recipe for a trap there. So I'm a little worried about Vanderbilt. That's the one game that scares me right now, just looking at it.
well, I'll say this about Vanderbilt. There's no more Diego Pavia. And if Jared Curtis doesn't see at least 25 different simulated blitz packages, I'd be shocked. They're going to throw everything at him, and that'll give us motivation. But good call out, Hal. There's a lot of games. The Florida game, in Atlanta, Auburn coming to Athens doesn't worry me, but there's a lot of games on the schedule that may trip us up. So, Little Luke, prediction for the year.
National champs.
Okay, so any losses?
No, we're gonna cruise. We may lose a game on the road. I mean, we may lose a Bama or an Ole Miss game on the road, but Georgia's gonna be fine. Georgia's gonna be good.
Okay.
You know, I think you just called out something with the defensive line and kind of things like that. We've been talking about that. I think you're gonna know that defensive line is really, you know, picked it up again and kind of back to the standard we've seen at Georgia. If they've got that pre-snap movement back. You know, we didn't see a whole lot as much of that this past year. If they've got that pre-snap movement back, that means they know what they're doing.
Perfect. So, Luke, you got them 11-1 in regular season and then winning the Natty. Jackson.
My prediction is we get through the SEC meat grinder with 2 losses. We go in with a bye week, and we beat the bye week curse for the first time. And I'm not going to predict the national championship, but I'll say we get to the Natty, and it's a coin flip.
Love it. Hal, excuse me.
I'll also, I mean, I'll take us deep into the playoffs. Hopefully we'll win the SEC again. I think we'll run it back. Hopefully we avoid getting matched up against Texas Tech so they don't have to forfeit and stand on their word. And we can go on and we can win the national championship. I mean, LSU is going to be good this year in the SEC. I think they're going to return back. I mean, Lane, love him or hate him, he can build a winning program at this point. He's kind of proven it. That's going to be my biggest concern for us winning the SEC as a dark horse, and then hopefully we just get a good path in the playoffs and play well at the right time. So I'm going to predict national championship. Why not?
I love it. All right. So I want to first of all thank all 3 of you. You are excellent on this podcast. But to close it out, it would not be Father's Day without thinking of Big Hal, my father-in-law, and Daddy Nacer, my dad. Y'all, there was no bigger dog fan than Big Hal, and the stories he would tell about recruiting and his love for UGA football could be its own podcast. And I will do a podcast on Big Hal this summer because he was just amazing. Daddy Nacer, a graduate of the United States Military Academy at West Point, loved pulling us together to watch the Army and Navy game and wanted to remind us all that in the early days of college football, that Army was the most dominant team in the nation. With that, I got to wish everybody in Dog Nation and on Big Luke's Dog Beat a happy Father's Day. And as always,
Go Dawgs!
Go
Go Dawgs!
Dogs. Love it.